Welcome back to another video, guys. We're back out on Nacho on a glorious summer's day, out to find some big bass, big fish. Whoa! We have got some flat calm seas. I am cruising down to the Needles right now. Now the first order of the day is to find some live bait. I've got a float set up for some live bait mackerel to find some big bass. We're moving into September, it's towards the end of August, and this is when the big bass start to show. So let's hit some wrecks, hit some reefs, try and find the mackerel, and get on the fish. Right, complete first drop, and honestly, very first drop. Nice little bass. Would be legal, but not for me, not for today anyway. Off he swims. Tried a couple different marks on the way out to the Needles. Try and find some mackerel, some live baits. I'm currently on a wreck at the moment, which, to be fair, the main part of the wreck that I want to fish, there's someone sat on top of it. So I've come to another section of the wreck, which is probably, I don't know, 100, 200 metres further downstream, which can also hold fish, but the other bit's my preference. It's normally where I find the bait fish, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. We are on kind of slack tide, although the drift's starting to pick up a little bit. We were drifting at like 0.3, we're now up to about 0.6, 0.7. So it has gone a little bit dead with the slack tide. I'm hoping if we can pluck out a few mackerel by the time the tide kicks back in, we'll head up to the Needles and we can get into the fish. It's always that same situation where I desperately want some fresh mackerel to set the day off, but I also don't want to spend half the day just looking for bait. It's a bit of a balance, but I didn't bring any mackerel with me today, so I was probably maybe a bit too confident, but I've got some squid and I've got a little bit of worm bait, just in case the day goes to pot and I end up searching for or scratching around for something, or Plaice. I wouldn't mind doing some Plaice drifts later this afternoon. Next mark. Well, it has been difficult finding the bait fish today. Most of the marks that I've got to, that I wanted to fish, has had someone anchored on top of it, which is fair enough. You know, they got there first. I don't own any of the marks, and whoever has it, has it. But it's made it difficult to drift through them and try and pick up any bait fish that might be held on there. And some of the other marks I'm trying just don't seem to be producing. Martin, who's out on his Warrior, has had a few scad to the boat. I think he's had 3 or so now, which he's been keeping as live baits, which is good, so we may be able to use them later. But I think we're just about to start moving into this ebb tide soon, and that's going to be a sign to head towards the Needles and probably just focus on the lures. Chances are we can probably pick some mackerel up around the Needles as well, especially with a bit of tide flowing through it. So yeah, we'll see what happens. With the usual marks not chucking up the needed bait fish, I decided to continue the trip towards the Needles, hoping that a strong tide and some lures would do the trick. As you can see here, the tide was certainly doing its job, and so was the scenery. Well, it would appear that the Needles is very uncharacteristically not fishing well today, which is a real shame. I was really keen to get into some decent bass. Yes, we've had the one bass in the boat, which was a nice fish, but not, you know, not the double figure that I'm after, that's for sure. So I think it's going to come down to a case of fishing for the fish that are probably there, and I reckon that's going to be bream, plaice, scratching around for some smaller species but still good fish to the boat. So I'm going to have one more drift with, to be fair, the only jig or lure that's actually caught me a fish today, which is on these little metals. I love using these, just dropping along the bottom and just bouncing around right on top of the reef. Often picks up bass, wrasse, all sorts. I'm going to have another go at that, and then I think we're going to move to a new mark, change tactics, see if we can't get into the fish. Come on, got to happen. It's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's been a long old day. With the bass deciding not to play ball, I decided to change tactics and put some baits down. Earlier in the week, me and Darren had some success on the Plaice. Well, there we have it, in the sunshine, the beautiful summer evening sun. Darren's caught his first ever Plaice.
Happy days, that's what I wanted.
And with some leftover worm at hand, this felt a good way to make the most of some decent tide. Okay, so plan B for the day. We are going to try and catch us a nice big Plaice. I've got the same rigs that you would have seen me fish on the channel for, well, every time I've gone Plaice fishing, to be honest. Nothing groundbreaking. It is a simple 2-hook rig with beads. I think I've got size 1 or size 2 J hooks on there, Aberdeen style. I normally prefer to use ragworm tipped with squid for this, but black lug is all I had in the freezer. There's an off chance of picking up some other random species. I've had bream doing this. You can pick up smooth hounds as well on the drift, you never know. All that is going to do is go onto my main line, which has a sliding kind of ledger weight to clip on there, and it will fish along the bottom. We'll get 2 rigs of these set out. We've got a nice long big drift now back towards Christchurch Lead, which obviously will be our end destination at the end of the day. So I should save on a nice bit of fuel. I'm drifting at just above a knot, about 1.1, 1.2 knots. So it's a nice drift, not too fast, not ripping through, but we'll also cover some nice ground here. I'm in about 11, 12 meters of water, and it's just a big flat sandy bed all the way there. So no reason why we shouldn't catch some Plaice. Now I'm letting this one down quite gently, because sometimes when you're fishing a long flowing trace below the weight especially, if you let it down too quick it can kind of tangle up around the line and you can end up drifting it for like 10-20 minutes and not realise that you're not really presenting it well. So gently drifting it, also gently dropping it down to the bottom until the weight hits the seabed, like that. And then all I like to do is just hold onto the reel just for a short moment and let that rig all kind of lengthen out so that the hooks are behind, the weight is up front closest to the boat, and once it's all nice and streamlined you can gently let off some line from the reel so that the rig, the weight, everything is fishing quite a distance from the boat, but it's all pinned to the bottom and we're dragging it along the seabed, kicking up sand, kicking up disturbance, hopefully attracting in the fish. Okay, that should do. And I always do it, to be honest, no matter how I'm fishing or what I'm fishing for, but that's on a really nice light drag. So if a smooth hound, if something decent was to pick it up, which as I said can happen, your rod's not going in with it. Well, we've been drifting for probably about 30-40 minutes now, but it's felt like eternity, honestly. I think though, I've seen a bite on this rod, and there's a little bit of weight coming in on it, so I am hopeful we might have our first flatty. We do! Hey, there are fish in the sea. Get in. We have a lovely little Plaice. Well, there we have it, a beautiful Dorset Plaice. Quite a stocky fish for his size, but he isn't massive. He would be legal to take, but too small for me. Really happy and reassured though that there are actually fish in the sea today. I was starting to think there weren't. He did the classic Plaice trick where I think he must have bitten on a little bit earlier and I was probably dragging him along the seabed for quite some time. But yeah, super healthy, beautiful fish. As always, incredible markings as you may be able to see on there in the sunlight. This one is going to be returned back though. If I find a bigger one though, he'll be coming for dinner. Chuff with that. Well, I got my hopes up then, reeling this rod up, and there's quite a bit of weight to it, and I thought, oh, here we go. Found a decent Plaice, decent fish, but it is just covered in weed. not the one. I've been drifting now probably about an hour and a half for just the one fish. So like much of today, unfortunately, this has not been too productive. But we've ticked off another species for the day. We've had a place in the boat, so I can't complain too much. I think what I'm going to do is head towards Christchurch Ledge shortly and just put some lures down, some little jigs. That's where my pot is in that area. So slack tide is going to be in about a couple hours time. So if I'm over that way, I can fish the last few hours of this ebb tide that we've got going on at the moment over the ledge, put some lures down. We don't know, might kick off, it might happen, might find the fish, and if not, I'm in the right place to collect the pot at low water slack, which will be the easiest time to pick it up. So yes, I think that is going to be the plan. Let's get these up and mooch over there, shall we? Well, steamed over and my pot is just to the side of me, and I'm actually going to go pull it now. We're still an hour or two off low water, but the tide, I mean, even with the little bit of wind that we got at the moment, I'm only drifting at about 0.5, 0.6 knots. So I think it shouldn't be too bad pulling it up. There's a little bit of chop in the water, but again, perfectly fine. So let's go lift it up now, see what we can find, eh? Fingers crossed. Stinker, eh? That one's empty. That one has one little velvet swimmer. Oh dear. Well, I don't seem to be having much luck with my pots lately. We had a couple of lobsters down in Falmouth, in Cornwall, when we went down back in June. Both undersized, unfortunately, but for today, just another velvet swimmer. That's all I had last time as well. Oh well. That's a bit disappointing. I've had 2 pots soaking for about 4 days now on just that. But we'll keep trying, as we always do. I'm not going to shoot them again today. I'm probably going to bring them shore, just because I'm not sure when I'm back out. And we'll try a different mark, I think. This one's not been too fruitful for me for a while now, actually. So, oh well. Off you go, mate. Alright, well, just to keep the deck clear on the boat, I've shot the pots again. A few hundred metres away from where I had them before though, so on a slightly different mark. They had some leftover bait in them, to be fair, so I was like, well, rather than get the deck all cluttered and be working around them, I'll leave them in the water for the next few hours, because I'm not going in yet. We'll pick them up later. Who knows? Very unlikely something's going to crawl in the space of 2-3 hours, but you never know. So yeah, I'm on the ledge now. Nothing more to do than get some jigs down, get some lures, try and get some fish for the table. So far, it's not looking good. Well, we've lost pretty much all the tide at the moment. I've got a little bit of a drift on, actually, about 0.5 knots, which is just the wind pushing me along at the moment. What I'm having a go at now is a little go for a wrasse, to be honest. So I really enjoy using these little metal jigs. They're probably, I don't know how, it's between 40 and 60 gram they often weigh, and just bobbing those along the surface of the seabed. It's a really enjoyable way to fish, and quite often we'll pluck out a nice fish as well, a big bass that's lurking at the bottom, or a wrasse. I was using these kind of jigs in Cornwall when we were back down there on the Sib, and we plucked out some nice pollock and wrasse doing the same method. I really enjoy it for some reason. and they do seem to be quite effective. So as we are on slack tide is pretty much the best state of tide to go for a wrasse. Things like your pollock and bass, they like a little bit more movement. They like to be like the flow of the tide to rush through, whereas wrasse are very much as territorial species. So if they see something coming along in their little patch, their little home, they'll go for it regardless of the tide. So if you're actually wanting to target wrasse, then slack tide is often the best time to do it. Whether or not we find one on this drift, who knows? I'm hoping that as soon as this tide does kick in, the flood tide will start shortly, we can get into the fish. It has been really difficult. I mean, I've been out at sea now for probably about 8 hours for 2 fish, for 1 bass and 1 plaice. Oh, and a velvet swimming crab. So, you know, can I count that? 3 species? I don't know. I'm gonna count it. So the interesting thing about today is that there's been no bait fish around anywhere. I haven't marked shoals of bait fish in nearly any of the marks that I've been to. There was a few scattered marking on that first wreck that we fished this morning, but other than that, there's been, yeah, not an awful lot of anything. And interestingly now, the birds are circling around me and they don't seem to be able to find the bait fish right now either. Normally this kind of time, moving into dusk, moving into evening, the birds are all about, they're all hunting, they're all scanning. Normally they'd find the bait fish and they would start hammering, and you could then get into the mackerel and the bass off the back of it, but they can't find the fish, which is really surprising. It's just one of them days today. It just wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be. But yeah, interesting. Now in my last video I did think a tuna was underneath the boat, which was causing all that bait fish to rise up. So we know the tuna are definitely being caught in Cornwall and Plymouth. We do get the tuna up here. I think they are here up to this Dorset coastline by now, especially based off what happened in my last video on my last trip out, the overnight session that was. You know, what that has done then to the bait fish around here, not sure, don't know. But I'm also not going to define a coastline off of one day's fishing. I could come out tomorrow and it could fish completely differently. So, you know, time on water, that's what catches fish. Well, I'm going to call it there, guys. I've got a little while to wait before I've got enough water to head back into Muddyfoot and get back to my mooring. But yeah, I am shattered. It's been a long day on the water. I can't deny it has been an extremely tough day in the office. 2 fish for a day's fishing and a lot of miles covered, a lot of lures thrown, a lot of baits put in the water, but not to be. Sometimes that's how it goes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed coming along for the adventure regardless, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.